Hey guys, welcome to the video today. So this video is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to be talking about SeaWorld and the One Ocean killer whale show that they do at SeaWorld. And basically just this video is going to give some of my thoughts and opinions on the show and just on SeaWorld in general. And then also I went to SeaWorld yesterday, so I have some clips that I'm going to be showing you guys of the show and just some different things there. So yeah, just a little disclaimer before I get started with the video. Anything that I say in this video is just an opinion. You don't have to agree with me, you can disagree with me, that's completely fine. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion and everyone feels differently on different matters, and I completely understand that. So you may not agree with me, up to you. You can just watch this video and I guess enjoy some of the clips from SeaWorld if that's what you want to do as well. And I just also want to say that I have nothing at all against SeaWorld. I actually like SeaWorld, it's really fun and it's a really great theme park. And there's some good elements and some bad. There's pros and cons to everything. Okay, so first I wanted to talk about what I like about SeaWorld. Of course, I want to start off the video positive. So yeah, what I like about SeaWorld is that they have some amazing roller coasters. Honestly, I have to say that the Mako, which is the newest roller coaster, it's like the fastest, tallest roller coaster in Orlando, I think, right now. And honestly, it is the best roller coaster I've ever been on in my life. I've been to Busch Gardens and I really like the Cheetah Hunt and the Sheikra. Those are also like up there on my list of like top roller coasters. Also, the Hulk at Islands of Adventure at Universal, that one too is awesome. But honestly, the Mako is the best roller coaster. It's so fun. I don't really think it flips you upside down, but you go really, really high, really fast, like amazing drops, and it just feels like you're flying. And it's so smooth. It's just amazing. I also really like the Manta. It's a little bit scarier because you're on your stomach and you're, the coaster kind of glides the way a manta would swim through the water, and you do a lot of corkscrews and a lot of turns and stuff in the air. So that's also a really fun coaster. They also have the Kraken Unleashed, but the Unleashed part of it is not really working at the moment. And they also have Journey to Atlantis and a couple other like kiddie rides and stuff like that. But those are like the main attractions that they have there, and they're all really, really good. Seriously, like I basically just go to SeaWorld just for the attractions because they're awesome. And so the other thing that I really like about SeaWorld is the theming of it. So I would compare it, I guess, in a way to Busch Gardens just because it has kind of like coasters mixed with nature elements and maybe even Animal Kingdom, you could say. But Animal Kingdom and Busch Gardens are more of like the African type of animals, and SeaWorld is more of like obviously the ocean and aquatic animals. So I really like the theming of how everything is like ocean related. There's a lot of lakes around SeaWorld. The lakes are huge, so like you feel like you're kind of like at the beach or at the bay or something like that. There's just like lakes everywhere, water everywhere, nice water elements, and of course you see like the aquatic and marine animals, fish. There's a bunch of aquariums you could go through, stuff like that, which is really fun. I think as far as like theming, I would compare it to Busch Gardens. I would say that SeaWorld has better theming than Busch Gardens, just as a comparison, but I mean, that doesn't matter at all, of course. Okay, so let me just show you guys the clips from the shark encounter.
It's the most commonly aquarius shark in the country. The world. They're very good at aquariums. They don't die.
Sharks have been on Earth long before dinosaurs, yet they made.
The small-toothed sawfish is closely related to sharks. Each has a primitive skeleton made of cartilage, like their nose, instead of bone.
Yet they're not the threat we think they are. Sharks don't often eat. They rarely feed where people swim. Most sharks are too small to harm.
We're not to go there for that.
We're both afraid and fascinated with sharks. Through a greater understanding of behavior and critical role in the ocean, we can discover how to protect these perfect predators from their greatest threat, us.
Not all sharks have to constantly swim to survive.
It was so cool. It had like a wall. So this is like a little bit more of the serious part of the video, so if you don't want to watch this, just click out right now. First, I want to just say my opinions on the One Ocean show before I show you the actual clips that I took yesterday. So One Ocean is a show that's been running in SeaWorld for a very long time, and before I talk about the actual like facts and stuff, I'm just gonna say that when I saw the show yesterday, I went in there with kind of an open mind. Pretty much had like no expectation or anything, and I hadn't seen the show since I was a little kid, so I really didn't remember anything that goes on in the show. And watching it, I thought it would be okay, but honestly it started to get to me, and it did actually make me sad and upset. It really did, honestly. And just seeing the orcas, like there was like at least 6 of them, probably maybe even more. I couldn't even tell because they were moving so fast, of course, but there was like one main orca that I noticed like kept going up on the little platform and spinning around and doing all these tricks, which I didn't really feel was right. I didn't like that, you know, that element of the show basically. And then I also noticed the other ones were doing a lot of flips and jumping and splashing and things with their tails, like just a lot of repetitive motions and cues, and obviously they're like getting fish for it, so if they miss their cue, they don't get the reward, I guess. And the trainers were kind of just like encouraging them, but basically they were in a way forced to do the show, jump, and perform. And honestly, it was hard for me to watch. They're such beautiful animals. I love orcas so much. I love dolphins. I have so much respect for them, so much love for them. I always have felt a connection to them my whole life. And I know how intelligent these beings are. Like, these are animals that are extremely smart and high intelligence. In the wild, they can do absolutely amazing things, and of course in captivity they're completely limited. They're not able to hunt for themselves or experience the ocean tides and the actual flow of the ocean, fish, different temperatures. Like, they're basically just in a tank, like a pool, and they're not really living the life that an actual orca should. Because of PETA and other animal rights organizations, there are no new theatrical killer whale shows. So in 2017, SeaWorld San Diego completely ended their theatrical killer whale shows. And it is scheduled, Orlando and San Antonio SeaWorld locations are scheduled to end their theatrical shows 2019. So this is the last year of the ones here in Orlando. Basically, these killer whales that are in the care or captivity, whatever you want to say, of the different SeaWorlds, they're actually deemed non-releasable, of course, because they are unfit for survival in the wild. They have no survival instincts. If they went into the ocean, they would basically die or get hurt by predators because they're not able to hunt. They've never actually experienced, you know, life as a killer whale, which is like one of the top predators in the oceans, you know, up there with sharks and everything. They've never actually experienced that life, so of course they would not be able to survive, however you want to say it, in the wild. So that's one good thing, that because of all this controversy, which I will talk about in the next half of this clip, you know, SeaWorld has kind of stepped up and done the right thing. They're not going to be allowing any more captures of killer whales, and they are actually ending the breeding program as well, so there won't be any new baby killer whales coming in. So all of the orcas that are there in SeaWorld are the only ones left, and they're basically just going to live out the remainder of their lives there. until they die, and then SeaWorld is actually legally not allowed to get any new ones. So that's one good thing. PETA has actually asked the federal government to outlaw the keeping of orcas in captivity, so that's another thing that PETA is trying to get done. But anyways, besides all this, before I just go into one of the reasons why I feel so strongly and passionately is because I've seen the movie Blackfish, which is about a killer whale named Tilikum. Anyways, before I talk about that, I just wanted to say, again, going back to the show, it did upset me seeing them doing the flips and the jumps and the different cues. It was hard to watch, it was hard to film, and I did not want to share this video with you guys as a form of entertainment. I didn't want to show it to you and act like it's like a fun video to watch or something. I wanted to kind of spread awareness and do the right thing. Like, if I feel passionately about an issue, I'm not just going to show it on YouTube for fun, for entertainment. I want you guys to be aware of the situations, basically. I did notice that the pool, like with the show, of course, there was also that pool, and there was another pool that was connected to it in the back of it. Honestly, both of them did not look that big to me. There was a lot of orcas in those pools. Too many, to be honest. They didn't look deep enough. They weren't wide enough. They were just completely too small and too cramped. And I know to most of the tourists who are watching the show, it was just like a fun form of entertainment. But everyone was like cheering and clapping. The music was super loud. I don't know exactly how orcas hearing works, but I mean, honestly, the music was loud. I don't think that that's very comfortable for their ears when they jump up and hear that, and then hear people screaming and yelling and making all these noises and stuff. There's a lot going on in the show, a lot of like water being sprayed everywhere, and I just feel like it's super overstimulating. And honestly, like, if I was an orca, I would find that show really annoying, to be honest. And I just feel like it is overstimulating for them. And then the pool that they have to go to kind of like get away from all that, like the second pool behind it, it just looks kind of like small and boring and flat, like nothing really much going on in there. So the place where they go to kind of have downtime, they're probably all cramped up in there and getting on each other's nerves, things like that. And now I just want to talk about Tilikum, which is the killer whale that he actually died at SeaWorld last year in January, but he also killed 3 different people. One of them, it actually happened in that exact show location where the one ocean is that I saw. So in 1983, Tilikum was captured in Iceland, and they were basically taken from their families out of the wild, out of the oceans, and he was brought into SeaWorld. Tilikum had always had a history of aggression and violence. There were several other times before this main incident where Tilikum would have incidents where he would, you know, hurt a trainer, or things would just go a little bit too far, basically. He was actually the oldest and largest killer whale in captivity to this date. He had multiple accidents and injuries previously with trainers, and he had killed twice before, so he was definitely not a nice and friendly orca at all. He was, I mean, I would honestly be terrified to be anywhere near a tank with him in it, because that's extremely scary. He's a 6-ton marine mammal, so he's huge. So this happened a few years ago when a 40-year-old trainer named Dawn Brancho was basically grabbed by, they said either her arm or her ponytail. It's kind of unclear of how it actually happened, but he grabbed her. She got a little too close to him during one of the shows, and he grabbed her into the tank. And the people in the audience saw that he was flipping her body up into the air, and then also taking her underneath the water for long periods of time and drowning her. And there were tourists that were eating poolside at the Dining with Shamu experience, and they basically watched Dawn Brancho drown underwater. They said that they also saw Tilikum have her whole body in his mouth, and she was bleeding, of course, and he was flipping her over and over in his mouth, and also up into the air, down underwater, flipping her, drowning her, obviously causing extreme bodily harm. It's a very violent and aggressive act. It's not he wasn't trying to play with her. He was trying to kill her, of course, because he had a lot of aggressive tendencies, and he probably just had enough. He probably just snapped mentally, went crazy that day. That, compared to the size of a small human woman, you get the idea. It was really a really sad experience, and honestly just heartbreaking for Dawn, and I'm really sorry. Before that actual incident happened, that same day, the trainers had noticed that the other whales, they were appearing to be unsettled and they weren't responding to the trainers. I think also during the show, Tilikum missed a couple of his cues. So sometimes the trainers they'll cue for an animal to do a certain trick or whatever you call it, and Tilikum was just not having it. He just wasn't responding and wasn't doing it. So basically, because he was missing the cues, he was kind of getting not negative responses, but he wasn't getting the positive responses, positive reinforcement type of things. He was kind of getting frustrated, and then I guess that's just how he snapped and ended up grabbing her and pulling her in. So this was like a huge controversy, enough to spark the movie Blackfish, which was filmed and created, and that really affected a lot of things for SeaWorld, and also it really dropped the attendance down at the parks, which I've noticed because every single time I go there, the wait times for the rides are no more than 5 minutes, so there's really not that many people that actually go to the parks. And the actual like stadium that I saw, it was only maybe like a quarter way filled up with people, so it wasn't too packed or anything. After that movie came out, a lot of the trainers came forward, like the former trainers that worked at SeaWorld, they came forward and they began to speak out on the bullying and aggression due to the close quarters that the orcas kind of like do to each other. Like they're all stuck into one pool, so there's a lot of bullying, there's a lot of aggressive behavior between them. They have demanding schedules because they have to do shows a couple times a day and train for those shows, which is a lot of physical work, obviously. And they have close quarters, they're cramped, it's unnatural conditions. Of course, it's a pool and a lot of different lightings and sounds and stuff. It's very unnatural from the ocean, completely different. So the trainers actually did kind of speak out and admit to these things, that it's not like the first time, it's not a huge surprise. They kind of knew that the orcas were in a way being mistreated because they weren't happy with their situation. So last year on January 6, 2017, which I do remember because I lived here in Orlando at that time, and I remember this coming out in the news, it was found out that Tilikum sadly died, which for him is probably an amazing thing because now he's an angel. His spirit can live on in heaven and he doesn't have to live in this physical world anymore, and honestly I'm sure he's in a much better place as far as his spirit. But Tilikum died due to a lung infection, which was due to bacterial pneumonia, which is a common infection that happens in captive dolphins and orcas. So the orcas that are in the show that I saw yesterday are different ones. I'm not sure of all their names. I didn't have a chance to research and look up all of that info, but I noticed that there was one orca that was kind of like the main one, unless they were switching it and they were like rotating off. I couldn't really tell, but it kind of looked like the same one over and over, kind of coming up into that middle section, you'll see, and doing a lot of like the main flipping and I don't know what you call it, but tricks in a way. So yeah, I feel like maybe he kind of replaced Tilikum in the show, I'm not exactly sure, and the other ones were kind of more in the background doing other things. But anyways, it's a sad situation. It's super hard to watch. When you guys watch the show, you'll see what I mean. To you, you might not really mind, but some people might see the show and kind of be like, wow, that's messed up. I mean, they're required to do a lot and it's like a big production. Sorry that clip cut off, but my phone is about to die, so I just want to say that I'm gonna just insert the clips right now that I took yesterday of the One Ocean show. You guys can see that now, and I just want to say in advance, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it or found some kind of something in it that maybe means something or resonates with you. If so, leave a comment down below. I love to talk about all this stuff with you guys. I feel really passionate about animal rights, so just wanted to make this video for that reason. And I just love all those orcas, all the dolphins, all the animals, and all the fish so much that are at SeaWorld, and I'm just sending love to all of them. So I'm going to insert those clips here.
bright and beautiful future is in our hands.
Generations learning the age, now the generations watching to driving side by side, season after season, ebbing and flowing.
Times it happens just by surprise, out in the lands ahead.
It's a privilege for all of us here. It's one that we are privileged to share with scientists, conservationists, and all of you. And this information we are sharing with scientists is actually benefiting killer whales in the ocean today. And our knowledge gains can make the tiniest ripple spread and grow and make a really big splash!
Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day and see you next week for our next video.